This is the usual start of stream silence, don't worry. Hello everyone, how are you all doing? Something I noticed just now, something I noticed in some of the Skyrim streams, I try to say, how are you all doing? But for some reason, I don't know, just the way I say it too quickly, it seems to turn into y'all. Now, this is strange because I do live in Florida, but as has been discussed at length, Florida is like not part of the American South. The more northern you get in Florida, the more it becomes like the southern United States. But when you're down here in South Florida, where I am, it's more like Latin America, I guess. So you don't really have like country or southern sounding people down around here. The people down around here, I don't know. They sound like they're from somewhere in New England. I don't know. I remember I took a what was it? It was like a dialect test back in, I want to say, junior year as part of my linguistics class. Um and they found that I sounded like I was from somewhere in Massachusetts, which is accurate. I don't remember the other place, and then right around where I live in Florida. So apparently I'm, well, as you would expect, not the only person who sounds like this around here. You do indeed pick up your speaking habits from the people that you live around. This is my first stream with you, so it should be fun. Welcome, 10 Rillatus. 10 Rillatus. Welcome. How new are you? Like, you just usually don't catch streams, or like, did you just show up? Because I've had a few new subscribers over the last like week or so. Relatively speaking, the channel was pretty stagnant over the summer, bit into the fall. We've recently started to gain a little bit more traction recently. Anyway, I am going to hop into VC here on my Discord, because this is supposed to be a discussion amongst multiple people. Say hello to my giant Discord icon. It'll get smaller the more people hop in. Though, I don't actually know how many people plan on joining. We'll find out, I suppose. Anyway, how are you guys doing? I imagine you're all rather excited about this DLC. Hello, Neve. I see you got a new profile picture to match the occasion.
Of course. How could I
Yes,
not?
of course. Ah,
Uh,
Dylan
this
said
announcement
linguistics. Hmm?
is very funny because I was just discussing the whole like DLC situation with someone yesterday,
Uh-huh.
and they're like, "Yeah, I didn't see Elden Ring getting a DLC. It is complete enough outside the Mikla stuff,
And what do you
which has all
know?
been getting." And it's like, seems there's a lot more than meets the eye here.
Yeah, what do you know? Well, I mean, it made sense because it was kind of weird for there to be like two big demigods when we focus on pretty much all of them, and these two just really don't get much of anything. I mean, yeah, technically Godwyn gets his quest line, but like you never really do much with Godwyn himself.
Yeah, it's all like, yeah,
Right.
and you're like, you go look at Godwin and you're like, that's a big fish. Time to fight a dragon who, you know, isn't Godwin.
Right. Tenrilla just said I was tweaking out at 2 in the morning when I saw the announcement. So oh man, I woke up this morning. It was like 9 o'clock ish, the usual
Aye.
time I wake up. I check my Discord as I always do, and it was funny because last night you, Neve,
Yeah.
were saying like, "Ooh, a big Elden Ring announcement in 3 days on the 30th," and me being tired and forgetting it's the month of February was like, oh boy, I can't wait. And then I was like, really now? So I went on Google, I looked up Elden Ring and went to news and I didn't see anything. And then I realized Neo had reacted to your post, and then it occurred to me why he reacted that way, and I'm like, oh.
Yep.
So then, I end up being in VC a little later than I usually like to last
Yeah.
night, post 2 in the morning, which is not good. No bueno. And then, as always happens, every time I do that, my fucking cat wants to come into my room. And naturally, I can't say no to him. So I let him into
Of
my
course you
room, and I close the door because I don't like my fucking dogs barging in at any random time when I'm sleeping because they're like
don't.
little bulls in china shops. They would like run me over and violently awaken me from my slumber. Um so I let him in. I close the door. I like open up my closet for him because he likes going in there and like taking naps. Instead, what he does is he just starts walking all around my room, and I'm like, oh fuck, I know what he's going to do. Because what he does when he does that is he just walks around everywhere. He makes noise and has the very good possibility of trying to knock shit off of my dresser because he's a cat.
Of course, yeah, cats do this.
So I can't just have him in here when I'm trying to go to sleep. Because I may be like about to go to sleep and he's gonna fucking knock something onto the floor and wake me up. Or he's gonna start asking to leave, or he's gonna start meowing in my face. So
He's
anytime I
like,
let him in here when I'm trying to go to bed, he keeps me up like 20 minutes later than I want to go to sleep. But if
uh,
he kept me up for like another 20 minutes, I probably would have seen that announcement. And then I
yeah.
really would have had a hard time going to sleep.
Cause like, I also like have a little nap after I was announced. I was like, my hour is too busy racing. And, like, it was like literally an hour after you left BC to go to bed.
Amazing. What do I need to do? I need to loop this.
But about that announcement,
Mm-hmm.
it's like first things first, Mikola and Torrent. That's
Right,
like
yeah,
the
let
first
me let me get rid of the
major
chat
thing.
for a second. Boop, there you go, Mikola Torrent. Voila.
See, like, I've seen people say, "Oh, it's young America." Why would we believe that? Uh, right, just going off the idea of it, like they're saying, like this is actually young America, and that's the Erdtree. Like, sure, maybe,
Well,
but
that's
let's just
just
take this at face
because
value instead of
FromSoft
trying to
has a
look into like,
precedent of time travel
yeah,
DLC, so
yeah,
or pseudo
like,
time travel.
let's just like scrap all that for a second and take this at face value.
Hmm,
So, Mikola and Torrent,
right.
that uh first leads to a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're like, oh, who's Torrent's former master? Who are these three wolf spirits? I guess it also relates to that one statue in Fire Missoula.
Perhaps, perhaps.
Yeah, like, but now we know, like, yeah, we should have seen this, like, Mikola having a relation to Torrent because Rani used, the slumber mist.
That's true, that's true.
But, like,
It's always the little things you don't notice, because I had never really noticed that.
yeah, like, this does give us some way to determine whatever the hell is going on with Rani and Melna's eyes. So we'll
Yeah,
probably learn that in the DLC itself. Unless that's just enough clues for us to piece together whatever's going on there.
yeah. Tenrelutus says, I pray in the DLC that Mikola gets the same amount of narrative buildup as Slave Knight Gale did, as well as the mechanical perfection he brought in the end of DS3. I don't see us fighting Mikola. I mean, maybe we could
Yeah,
fight
no.
the real world Mikola, because they turn into some weird fucked up blood monster. But Mikola strikes me as being kind of more like Ronnie. There, it's just like, why
Yeah.
would we fight them? They don't seem like the type of person that would try to fight us, especially because Mikola is like, I mean, yeah, he's got like magical abilities and stuff, but he has Melania. Mikola is not the
Yeah.
one that does stuff. The
And like
extent of
even
him doing
then,
stuff here is because he's like in the spirit world, so I guess there would be more that he would be
yeah,
capable
doing
of.
Saint Trina stuff.
Yeah, but he's not really as far as we can tell from like the lore and everything, he's not really like the fighting type.
And even then, Mikla's an Empyrean. So, already got millennia fighting for him. Because he's an Empyrean, there should be a shadow, right?
Right.
Which leads into DLC's title, Shadows of the Erdtree.
Yeah, that sure is curious, isn't it? Now there are questions about them because we never saw who their shadows are and their Empyreans.
Yeah,
It's possible they may have just killed them because
possibly.
obviously the stuff they were doing. Actually, no, not necessarily. Obviously, um, going against the greater will, I don't think that's necessarily the case. Because I mean, like, from the way we
Yeah,
understand how the greater will works and the Golden Order, the only reason Rani became an issue was because the Age of Stars usurps
literally
the
blots
Golden
out.
Order and the
Yeah,
Greater Will. All of the other ones are still subservient to the Greater Will. Even if you had, maybe, even if you have Mikola bringing about some age of the Halig Tree, I imagine it would probably still be subservient to the Greater Will. The
yeah,
only
because
thing
like
that
it's
suggests maybe not, maybe, is Mikola's needle, but, the Outer Gods are lesser
yeah,
than
and
the
that
Greater
quells
Will.
frenzied flame, which does go against Greater Will. That was sealed underground for a reason.
Right, that's true. Yeah.
Unlike Mikla, Golden Order stuff, there's no reason to expect Mikla to be going against Greater Will. Also, like with Shadows of the Erdtree, there's supposed to be talking about the Halig tree itself, since it's kind of overshadowed by big,
That is
brilliant
true. It
Erdtree.
is possible that it has something to do with the Halig Tree. And, it's Mikola. Mikola's big project was the Halig Tree. So, and he entered his slumber when he planted himself within the Halig Tree. So there's likely still connections to
Yeah,
it there. Actually, I would not be shocked if there are multiple entry points to the DLC. It would make sense if there are, because in Dark Souls 3, there were multiple entry points to the Ring City.
yeah.
Now, the Ring
Like
City was a direct sequel to Ashes of Ariandel, so that may be a special
this is
case
true.
there. But with how big this is presumably going to be, and the fact that almost everything in Elden Ring has like multiple ways to get into it,
Yeah.
with the exception of
But
like
like,
quest line exclusive stuff.
yeah.
Also, we have
Like
11 people in here, only 5 likes. If you guys are in here and you haven't already, hit the like button.
like there's Mikla's Hideaway, and the Cocoon.
Yeah, those two seem both quite plausible.
Very, very likely entry points.
I suppose it will also depend on how important Godwin is to this, because if you also want to get into Shadows of the Erdtree, hey,
And who's
Godwin,
living directly in the shadow of it?
directly underneath the Erdtree in its literal roots. And then you also have the connections between Mikola and Godwin, where it seems like Mikola was trying to reawaken Godwin or try and find his soul
Mm.
somehow, because we don't entirely understand what death outside of the Erdtree means. We don't entirely know where souls go. The only thing we're really aware of is Helfin. Like, that's the only one we really have any sort of definitive information on, is
And that's
Helfin.
like one item description.
Right. Helfin is where warriors go to the afterlife. They're led by the red grace of the lamplight, which is a tree. Um,
Which, weird candle tree lamp,
right.
maybe?
Yeah, who knows? Um,
Uh,
Let me see a lamplight, because I think I remember hearing that's supposed to be some kind of tree. Or a lamp wood,
yeah,
maybe.
like the only other thing I can really think of is House of the Earth Tree at the moment, before doing like deeper delving into all this,
Mm-hmm.
is maybe just focuses on like shadows in general, like you get more stuff in Blythe, Malekith, Mikola's Shadow, Gloomy Shadow.
Right. And Melania must have had one as well, because she was chosen as an Empyrean.
Yeah.
Even if she was subservient to Miquella, the Two Fingers still chose her as being her own
Aye.
goddess of a new age.
And like
So she must have
looking
had
at
something.
Glowmike, and like I think this will probably be more for a different DLC
Mm-hmm.
because it's very tangentially related.
Right.
Like stuff with the Glowmike Queen, maybe. Because like if we go into Godwyn, Prince of Death, Destined Death, Black Flame,
Right.
eh. Like it's not too unlikely, but I feel like she's independent enough as an entity.
Gator says, I'm thinking we're getting a boss rush, I hope. If this is us going into the afterlife, I see no reason why there wouldn't be. Also, the
Yeah,
fact
and
that we
it's
get
dreams,
remembrances from the big
so
bosses is like the easiest way to excuse a boss rush, because it's literally how it works in Sekiro.
yeah, and like with Mikola, dreams. We go into dreams, we remember the boss there.
Yep, that easy.
There's so many ways to go about this currently, so
Right.
yeah. On top of bosses, I just hope they go back to their the DS3 guys on it.
Just have whoever were the people that made Moog and Godfrey, have them make all of the bosses here. I don't imagine we're going to be getting all
Yeah,
unique bosses, but it would be nice. I'm trying to imagine how big this expansion is going to be.
like
Um,
I'd say at the very least equivalent to like Ringed City, at least.
that
Which
would
had
honestly be
Dreadkeep, Ring City.
the absolute bare minimum. You could fit the Ring City inside Lanedale.
Yeah,
This is an
but that would
expansion.
also be counting Dreadkeep as part of that.
Yeah, that's true. You, as some people have described it, Elden Ring is the size of an entire Dark Souls trilogy. It has that much in it. It's fucking gigantic. So when they say they're doing an expansion for Elden Ring, we have to think slightly beyond the usual scope of Dark Souls DLCs, which is where, oh, you get a new area and you get, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 new bosses. Something along
Yeah.
those lines.
Like my current prediction, uh, is that it's either gonna be like equivalent to like all three of the Dark Souls 2 DLC, which I've not experienced, so don't know exactly how big those are yet.
You don't have them yet. They're basically what I just described. You go to one big area, and there's like 3 bosses in each of them.
Hmm.
And,
Yeah, either that or it's like both Dark Souls 3 DLCs at once.
yeah. That's still a fairly comparable size.
Right.
Actually, no. The 2 Dark Souls 3 DLCs, Ashes of Ariandel is a fucking tiny DLC. That's why a lot of people don't like it. Is because you got Frida, and then that's
Yeah, you
about
get a
it.
kill
In all
boss fight
honesty,
and yeah.
um,
Yeah, kill boss fight, rapier with throwing needles, that's cool.
and that's
And
it.
yeah, that's really it.
That's why
Alright,
that's why
change
Ring City,
things,
maybe
yeah.
Ring City just feels great in comparison because it came after that, and it was like, wow, a whole Soulsborne DLC, insane. But it was that, and then it was, hey, look at all of this stuff you recognize. Not necessarily the stuff you recognize the most. We put Earthen Peak here for some reason. This was the Dark Souls
Yeah.
2 area we decided to pick. All right. Because
Why?
it was funny, because Miyazaki loves poison swamps.
I guess.
And then oh my god, it's Firelink! But only if you, like, pay attention really hard, you notice it's Firelink.
Yeah.
And then it has, like, 3 of the best bosses in the series.
Yeah. Yeah, Medea, Gale, Demon Princess.
Yeah, and then they have another Old Monk, for those of you that like Old Monk. I assume Miyazaki liked Old Monk a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's talked about his favorite Demon Souls bosses.
Yeah. Looking at the image we have right here for
Mhm.
DLC.
Yeah.
Like, given the landscape, this doesn't resemble anything. Like, people saying, oh, it's the Erdtree. I believe no. Sure, these golden fields could be Altus. But you then have the landscape around it.
You have that's
That,
what I'm thinking. You got, like, mountain ranges and stuff in the background. This is my prediction, a new map layer.
yeah.
It's the easiest thing in the world, where You don't have to worry about where you slot it in on the overworld. It's just you hit the button, like how you go to the Eternal Cities layer, and it just, oh, well, what do you know? We're now in Hellpin or whatever.
Yeah,
And that
like there could be stuff with dreams, or because when you're at the Erdtree, you can see that other landmass. It could be there,
maybe.
or on some maps from before the game released, there was a depiction of a tree like southeast of like not southeast, southwest
Hmm.
of like Limgrave.
Right.
It's pretty similar, like somewhat close to Weeping Peninsula,
Yeah.
in that somewhat empty corner near where Round Table is on the map.
Right.
Like, it could be there. I'd probably, like, if I'm about one of those three,
Hmm.
I would say, right, in batting order, um, the other landmass,
Hmm.
then, uh, Dream Layer, and then lastly, the other tree, because I think that is just how tree moved that, beta map.
Maybe. I would still be betting on the new map layer, just because if we are doing like the spirit world or whatever, that's not going to be in the same place. It also means they don't really have to worry about how big it is and how to fit it in with the rest of the map. That just kind
Yeah.
of seems like the easiest way to do it.
At the same time, the other landmass up there, we have literally nothing going on there.
Yeah, that's true.
And like, it's relatively flat, so you could fit in like those nice wheat fields.
Yeah, the only thing is, you would be able to notice this tree, I think. This thing
Oh, that is a
is
good
big as
point.
shit. You would fucking see it.
Yeah, that's fair, right? I'm now betting on the Dream Layer thing.
Yeah, the reason we don't really notice the Halig tree is because it's up by the mountains. So it's
Yeah,
kind of
and like,
obscured from everywhere else. It's fucking cloudy, and it is on a lower landmass from the rest of the lands between.
yeah, like you can only see it from like
You can see it
if
from
you're
Castle Sol.
observant. Like if you're observant, you can sometimes see it from Galmir, I believe.
Hmm, interesting.
Though you have to go at like very specific angles at the top of it.
Interesting. Let's see. Let's check in with the chat here. By the way, we're
Uh,
still at only
yeah.
5 likes. We have 13 people in here. Let's see how close we can get to 13 likes. Let's see any other interesting comments we got from some people. Tater says we'd fight Fishwin at the start of the DLC, then finish with Prime Godwin. I could see that being feasible, just because, I don't think Prime Godwin can exist anymore in the
Yeah.
physical world. It would make sense for him to be in the spirit world. I would not be shocked if a big part of the plot of this DLC is literally searching for Godwin in the spirit
Yeah.
world.
That's why I don't think Godwin will be at the start of the DLC.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
I think
if it's Fish
Godwin being at the
Godwin,
start
you
would
you
make...
kill it, and
Yeah,
then
even that case, I believe it would make zero sense.
I suppose. What am I trying to think of? What does it remind me of? Oh, I know what it reminds me of. It's like the corpse of King Minos. You kill that, it's this big fucking thing. You kill it in its own spectacle boss. And then you do some other stuff, and later along the line, you find Prime Godwin hanging out in the spirit world as a ghost. And then for some reason you fight him.
Yeah, I really don't see us starting with Fishwin.
It
Mm.
it would be probably kind of weird from like a I think it would probably be more impactful if it's the original idea of you fight Fishwin and the big clam mouth opens up and then real Godwin steps out and you fight him. Also, I'm wondering what weapon Godwin uses. On the one hand, he is a
Probably
member
is
of the
some...
Golden Lineage. He's Godfrey's
Yeah.
son, so he probably uses an axe. But
Yeah.
also, like, all of the miracle shit connected to him is lightning spears, and we don't have any of the gods or the demigods that use spears. No, I don't think we do. I don't think we do. That
You know,
would be an
maybe it's
interesting
like
change of pace.
maybe
Oh,
it's a twin
Moog
blade.
uses one, I guess.
It's a twin blade, right? One head's axe, other end's a spear.
Well, there was that cut weapon of the Mikola and Melania twin blade that contained their great runes.
Oh, we're 100% getting that in this DLC, like 10 billion%.
I love my cut content DLCs, and that generally seems like what it is. Artorias of the Abyss was cut content. The Old Hunters was cut content. It was all shit that they wanted to put in the game, but FromSoft
Then
seems to
other
have this
things
really
too.
weird development cycle where they make their game, they map out the whole thing, and they work on it. And then at some point in like the last, I don't know, year or less of development, they decide, what if we added in all of this stuff? And then they start
They're
working on
playing,
all of
yeah,
that stuff. And then you get to the
yep.
last 4 months before release, and they're like, we can't fit this all in the game. And then you get Lost Izalith.
They're playing chicken with game release dates.
They do. They're lunatics.
Mhm.
So yeah, that seems that from what I've heard, that is apparently how that works. With FromSoft, that's why their games tend to have cut content that seems kind of important. Is because they just decide to add really important shit, and then they're like,
They don't use
we can't
finish
really
that.
finish that. And that's, well, fortunately, I don't think we've gotten another Lost Izalith because of cut content. I don't think.
Yeah, right. Like most of Dark Souls 2 feels like Lost Eyes Live. That's for a different day.
Oh, well, apparently Dark Souls 2 did have a bit of a troubled development cycle, but that was like the whole thing. So,
Yeah.
um,
So like, yeah, about that tree we see on there.
mm-hmm.
It's like I said earlier. Oh, it can't be the Erdtree. Like, it could be like the Halg tree in Mikola's dream, I think.
Maybe.
Or like it's something else. Like I'd say that whole idea of the dream Halg tree could be the case.
Mm-hmm.
Cause like I think it looks a lot like Mikola's needle.
The tree?
But it's then yeah. Like the needle you use to cleanse the frenzied flame.
Let me look this thing up. Just so I can
But I
get
think
it.
you have to think about what's wrapping around it, which I guess could represent Moog.
I mean, I can kind of see the resemblance a little bit. It's like a wrapped up tree branch.
Aye.
I guess here, well, I mean, I suppose more so just Mikola's needle has a general tree aesthetic, which is fairly in line with Mikola in general because of the Heilig tree.
Yeah, also speaking on that, like Mikola also has that sort of like braid thing going on with their aesthetic.
They do. They do.
And then anyway, you look at the Spirit Calling Bell. What designs there?
Oh, let's have a let's have
Oh,
a
is
look at
that a
that spirit
braid
calling
on the
bell.
handle?
I've never actually really seen a close up. Oh my god! It's a braided handle. That's crazy. Well, you know what that means.
Yeah.
What is the Wraith Calling Bell? I've never heard of this. Is this a PvP
That's
item?
no, that's the thing that you know those weird little guys who like fire out the weird yellow omen fireballs.
Oh, those fuckers, yeah.
Aye,
They
those things.
drop these?
I guess don't think
Oh
I've
wait, no,
seen
it's
them
found in
drop
a
them.
chest. Wraiths are said to be the vengeful spirits of those who died when cursed. Fascinating! Incredible. More than a year after the game's release, and it's so gigantic that there are items and pieces of lore that I am still unaware of. You can tell why I'm not a big Elden Ring lore channel. It's just, it's too much. It's so fucking much.
Yeah, that's why I have other people around, like myself,
Right, right.
to fill in the gaps in each other's knowledge.
If we're thinking size, general size of this DLC, relative to within the game, I'm thinking maybe
Moongrave?
something the size of Limgrave and the Weeping Peninsula. And I feel like that may be lowballing it.
Yeah.
Maybe something the size of Caelid, but as full of content as Limgrave and Weeping Peninsula. Because Caelid honestly
Yeah.
feels kind of empty. Maybe it's just because it has a
Cause
lot
like
of
yeah,
reskin shit in it.
like Caelid is just one ring with the lake in the middle
That's true. That is kind of what
for
it
the most
is.
part. Also, loads of enemies you don't want to fight, so like it feels like even less content because you want
Right.
to run past everything.
Please Clap says DLC usually have a harder boss than the main game, but I don't see them putting in anything harder than Melania. You see, the thing is, Melania is really hard because some of her stuff is made to be hard.
Yeah,
Which is why
like
I'm not the
Millennium.
biggest fan in the world of Melania.
Like you're saying, like face on Millennium, I adore her until Waterfall Dance happens.
I still couldn't believe all those times I dodged it and, like, couldn't believe it.
Mm.
Like, I had no idea how I did
Yeah.
it.
Like such a poorly designed and intuitive move.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, like hopefully they'll learn from that. And they'll have bosses which have similar flows to like Millennia, Moog, Godfrey, or Dark Souls 3 bosses
If we just get Dark Souls 3
in
bosses, it'll be
DLC.
great.
Yeah.
In the
Just
meantime,
give
a
like
Moog and a
yeah.
Godfrey, please.
Yeah. Like Dark Souls 3 bosses that are slightly faster because Elden Ring is a faster game.
Right.
I like probably also more reactive because Elden Ring reactive combos.
Yeah. Um, let's see here. I mean, that is true, Tenrelitus. We don't know what mental state Mikola will be in. But given how Saint Trina is usually interpreted by people, I'm gonna assume they're pretty alright. Also, we're up to 7 likes, but now we have 15 viewers. Let's see if we can hit double digits. Um,
Yeah.
as far as I've read within the lore, Ronnie received Blythe due to the Greater Will choosing her to be the next host to the Elden Beast. Mikola and Melania were seemingly never chosen to, uh, replace Marika. It's
Mm.
weird because, like, the Two Fingers choose multiple Empyreans for some reason. And
Just
that
as
was even the
backup
case
in
back in
case.
Marika's time, because Marika had been chosen, and then the Glomide Queen had also been chosen. It
Yeah.
seems like generally the Greater Will wants people to compete to see who will be in charge under the Greater
Yeah,
Will.
struggle for each other.
Right. It likes struggle. Give me just 1 second.
Right. Like, yeah, just look at uh what Gideon says at before you face him, or what Millennia's saying. Not Millennia. Melna is saying on the Frenzy Flame ending. Struggle. There's beauty in struggling.
Mm-hmm.
The Great Will probably appreciates that.
Good, I just unplugged my fucking computer. How did I do that?
Yeah. Yeah, I heard that noise, heard that little bit of a crackle.
What the fuck? How did I do that? How did this happen? When the fuck did the wire get under here?
Wise. You know how it is.
Jesus Christ. What am I getting? Okay. Microsoft News, I clicked you one time. Stop giving me notifications. Where the fuck is this even wrapped around now? Jesus Christ. I don't even know how the fuck that happened. I always have the wire, like, it is just straight along next to my chair. Psychotic.
Great Will getting involved in your business. Doesn't want us discussing things.
Psychotic. We're now up to 18 viewers. Very nice.
Oh, nice. I can do that.
21. Okay, the big number keeps going up. If you guys just hopped in and you haven't already, hit that like button. Let's see how high we can go. Let's see here. Apocalypsagon
Like,
said I just had my PC built, so now I can enjoy this game. So when I heard there's a new DLC coming out, you can imagine how hyped I was. I can imagine. It's good timing. Well,
hmm.
theoretically good timing. It'll let you beat the game
Yeah,
before the
I'll let you
DLC
get
comes
like,
out. Don't go into New Game Plus first, though. You do not want to ever do DLC for the first time on New Game Plus. Because it is always the hardest content in the game.
mm-hmm.
It's because that's the part, since it came out after release, that's usually the part that they put the most work into, which is why it's usually
Yeah,
the best part of the game.
and the hardest, but most rewarding.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I have like currently 3 completed saves.
Mm-hmm.
One for like each of the main achievement endings.
Right.
So like, one's higher level, one's lower level, one's mid level.
I have a
All like
few.
and like
I have. Did I
we have
beat
to
the
increase
final
the
boss in
difficulty.
my blood playthrough? I can't remember. What happened with a lot of my playthroughs is I would get to Radigan and Elden Beast, and then I would be like, yep. And then I would stop playing.
Yep, that's the game.
I think it would
What a
be
final boss.
psychotic, if they make it so that you can't start the DLC in the endgame state. That would be insane. But I
I don't
doubt
see
they
why
would
they
do
would.
that.
Because like all the stuff like Timikola is, not within there.
Right. So probably not. Tater says inner Godfrey, Moog, and Placenta Sax. That would be wild. I don't know why you would need an inner Moog. Other than just Moog's great. Let's make Moog even better. But like,
Yeah,
I don't know how you would make Moog better. He's, you
you
know,
wouldn't.
he's pretty much perfect. He's in that echelon of bosses where I'm like, there are no problems with this. You can argue that needing the physic tier is, but that's honestly just like some old school RPG shit. So like, it doesn't really
Yeah.
affect the actual combat of the boss.
And it
Thus,
rewards you for exploration.
it rewards you for exploration and doing a quest line that theoretically isn't very connected to Moog, but also kind of is. It's not obviously connected to Moog.
Yeah.
It's just like not part of Vare's quest line.
They sound like Bodyfinger stuff and whatnot.
Jobber says when the name changes from Godwin, Prince of Death to Godwin the Golden in Phase 2, it's gonna go so hard. I hope we're not all getting ourselves too excited for fighting Godwin.
Yeah.
Though it does seem like we'll probably fight him.
Yeah, probably give him FromSoft precedent. But like, don't go banking too much on Godwin or Prime of any boss. You'll
Yeah.
understand everyone's fascination with those, but
I don't understand why people want Prime Godfrey so badly. I feel like the implication with him being one of the Tarnished is that he's still Prime. It's still Prime Horalu. Yeah, he looks older, but like, he's the fucking Elden Lord.
yeah. I guess it must be because like they're all One Piece or Bleach fans who are like, oh, everyone was better when they were old. Oh,
I think it's
me
the
make
general.
horrible
It's because of the general idea within FromSoft games that these characters have fallen from grace. They used to be
Okay.
way better in the past.
Right, did we get Prime Artorias? No. Did we get Prime Gale? No. We get Prime Meteor?
Technically,
No.
Slave Knight Gale is Prime Gale.
Yeah, that is true.
Hello, Tater. Welcome.
Okay.
What is the fascination with people fighting Prime versions of bosses?
I think it's...
Because you see, when people talk about, oh, I want to fight Prime Placidusax, I sit there for a minute. I think about the difficulty of the Placidusax we have already, and I think, that seems impossible. I can't fathom being able to beat that, or being able to beat that and feeling satisfaction after doing so.
Like,
just beating it would be enough satisfaction.
No. There's a difference between satisfaction and relief. I feel fucking relief when I beat Melania.
Yeah.
Like, look, if you want to fight Prime Placidusax, if you want to emulate that experience, right, take the device you play Elden Ring on, right? Set it in front of you. go out to your garage or like local gas station, buy a can of gas, right? Buy
Uh-huh.
some matches too.
And light
Get
yourself
a
on
gas.
fire?
No, 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 no. You pour it on your device. Maybe
Uh-huh.
splash some on yourself for good measure. Take the match, light it, throw it on your now gasoline covered device. That's Prime plus X.
It probably would destroy a lot of
Yeah,
hardware.
Yeah.
yeah. Like in terms of difficulty, yeah. In terms of like spectacle stuff, yeah. You need a high-end device probably because plus X is already for the most part a spectacle boss as opposed to like a gameplay boss.
Right.
True.
Like I
Yeah.
could understand the difference between I would love a boosted Morgott. Could we make Morgott have like a little more health or something? And maybe not
Hmm.
as many combo chains? That would be delightful.
Ooh. You know what we will get as a boss most likely, if we
What?
do go to Helfin, is
What?
the twin Deathbird.
Oh, wait, hold on. For a second, I was thinking of a fucking Deathbird duo. That would be fucking terrible.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
If
but
we get the
the twin
twin
bird,
bird
ooh.
and it's not fucking dog shit, that would be cool. You know, if it's
Just
a
looking
if
at
it's a
them.
good giant enemy boss as
Yeah.
opposed to the giant enemy boss that is the Deathbirds.
Like I think Deathbirds have good potential for like a normal boss, but because of like how they fly and like the arenas they're placed in.
For me, it's largely their hitboxes. And
Oh
I
yeah,
don't just mean the
like
hitboxes on their attacks, I mean the hitboxes on their bodies. It's because they're
oh yeah,
shaped so weird, hitting them a lot of the times really difficult.
it's like yeah, a bigger version with more space would probably be a lot better. But yeah, I remember I tried at one point Paris dancing. I think it was Blasphemous Blade and Gargoyle Sword.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the two-hand attack, or like the power stance greatsword attack, if you're right at their face and swing, it usually goes under their head
Insane.
when you're locked on. It's funny.
Temerlita says narratively, Godwin is of incredible importance, and he's almost never mentioned. His power I could see theoretically being on the same level as Radon and Melania. I don't know about that, because I can't see either of those two getting killed in the Night of Black Knives. The thing is,
Ooh.
though, if Godwin is in spirit form, of course he could be way stronger than he was at any point when he was alive. He's a fucking ghost. It's the
So,
Minos Prime theory. It's a Prime Soul.
so Godwin, right? We
Right.
don't know what weapons he used.
We were just talking
Yeah,
about that a
he's
few
got
minutes
that.
ago.
Yeah. What if he had a weapon, but it was like the axe, but it's only because he does axe kicks,
That'd be fun.
and
Yeah, like
he's just like full on like Horaloo with like lightning bolt pile drivers.
that'd be neat. That'd be cool. I think.
Prime Godwin will
Like,
probably go so hard. You know, if we fight the real Godwin, if we fight Godwin the Golden, because more likely than not, he will basically be just some shirtless guy wearing robes that are like hanging down around his legs and wielding a fairly basic looking polearm of some kind. And then he will
mm,
kick the ever loving shit out of us with really good music playing behind it. It'll be kind of a Sword Saint thing, a little bit.
no. I think maybe because like Mark the Centipede and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
maybe we get like some Centipede Whip. That'd be my go-to weapon.
I know you would love to get a Centipede Whip.
I was gonna say, well, here the Helfin ulcerated tree spirits could be centipedes.
Oh my
Oh,
fucking god.
like I don't see this as health, and I see it more as dreams, because Mikola Saint Trina.
Well, because the thing is, it seems like the dream world and the spirit world may be kind of the same thing.
Maybe.
Because then they could reuse bosses.
Right.
But then, like in that instance,
Ooh.
then we'd probably be expecting more to do with like both, because that relates to death. They'll be expecting stuff from both Glow Queen, because Death and Death, and also Twin Bird, potentially relate to Glow Queen because Death Flame.
I mean, I look at all of the spirit shit around here in this promo image, and I can't help but think it's probably going to be something to do with death.
I can see it. Yeah,
How
those
many
are
worm
a lot.
faces are we gonna go
Like,
against?
Oh,
probably
right. I was
one or two.
thinking, how many of the boss encounters do we think are going to be more reskins from the base game? And how many DLC exclusive reskins do you think we're going to get? Where we
Like,
get
I
like a
think we'll get
boss
like,
enemy that's introduced in the DLC, and we fight half a dozen of them in the DLC.
maybe we get like, fucking, Elmer of the Briars, fucking daughter or something. I don't know. Wielding like the regalia of Eohide,
Hmm.
like Alicia of the Briar, whatever.
I look forward to whatever the big night enemies will be. Because
Oh,
in
me too.
every single DLC, every single one, there are big night enemies. Dark Souls 1, you got the Ulasil Guardians. Dark Souls 2, literally every single one has reskins of the same enemies, and then they have big night enemies in each DLC. Shulva has got the falchion wielding guys. Broom Tower's got the giant lava spewing golems, and Eleum Lois has the golems,
Loiston. Oh.
who are fucking cool. Uh, Old
And then
Hunters,
Dark Souls.
you got the big church hunter guys, the big
Yeah,
executioner, the
that's
nightmare
nice.
executioners. Then Dark Souls 3, uh, Ashes of
You got the
Ariandel has the
Corvus
Millwood
Knight.
Knights, and then Ring City has the
Those guys too.
whatever they were called, the Legion Knights, the Herald Legion, those guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
every DLC's
Most like
got
Ring
big
Knights.
fat fuck knight enemies. I look forward to
I
seeing what these ones are.
I
Oh, most
imagine
like
they'd
Chainsaw
probably be
Man.
like the one, like the death ones in
Mhm.
the underground, but with like the helmet of the Erdtree Knights.
Like, I can see like Elite Erdtree Knight being a thing.
I could.
Or
Gale
like
Bard the
maybe some
Crafted.
punishment.
Yes, indeed, Jobber. I can't wait.
Yeah. Like, we're definitely getting like some more tree spirits because
Yeah.
we're gonna get more physics because DLC.
Right,
That's
that's true.
practically a given, I think. And tree spirits are always fun. There's a reason they've always been reusing the demon moveset. It's because it's fun. It's a good moveset.
That is true. It is a good move set. Ken Relative says, I'm hoping it's the size of Limgrave, Kaled, and Liurnia combined on the high end. A high end, it's the size of
Yeah.
half the game? Sure, yeah. That would be
Yeah, that's like the highest of high though.
fucking ridiculous. We're not getting any more DLC. Which,
Yeah, I can see like it being 2 reasons.
depending on what this DLC covers, and how big it is, I could see it being the only one. It depends.
Yeah, if it does turn out being both Dreamworld and Helfin as the same thing, then yeah, maybe it can be one DLC.
And
I
I
mean,
think
what-
it's essentially how well it covers the big people that we have left that we need to go over. Mikola, Godwyn, Glowmide Queen. I think those are really the only 3 big ones we have left that we need to go over.
Yeah.
I can see that most of us assume it's going to go over 2 of them, like, really easily.
Yeah.
And then maybe Glowmide Queen is connected to it.
Yeah, like Glowmide's like tangentially related because Godwyn, Prince Death, whatever, killed Knight of the Black Knights with Queen's Flame.
Right.
Like, unless it turns out, oh, Mikola's fucking reincarnation of Gloomy after having Power Stone, whatever, and that's why he's so small. That probably won't be happening. Like, I hope you get stuff on Glow My Queen though, because Vargram was shown in like all the promo stuff. So you expect him to be like a lot more important.
Right.
Then it's like into that he's Glow My Queen's consort.
He
Not Shadow, though.
wanted to become her shadowbound beast, but that's not like a thing you can do. So,
Yeah.
which
So, like-
means, yeah, whoa, I wonder who hers is if they're alive. I wouldn't be shocked if
Yeah.
Malekith killed them.
Mm.
But if they're dead,
Like-
they could be here, depending on how they work.
Yeah, they could be. Like, I imagine like we'll have Mikola talk to us at the start of the DLC. Like, oh, hello, I'm Mikola, blah blah, this is the place, this is what's happening, help me out. And then, like, at some points, we'll get different Empyrean shadows as summons, or bosses.
I could see
Oh.
you getting him as bosses. Oh, um,
So like with Glow My Queen,
mm-hmm.
her shadow probably is something to do with big old god hunt and why that happened.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, maybe you'll have fucking Godskin Cleaver, whatever.
Yeah, she'll just mention wanting to
Godskin.
see a new version of the Godskins. I think, because,
Yeah.
like, Godskin Apostle, great, it's a really good thing. Godskin Noble,
Kick its ass.
it's amusing.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
has its charms.
Yeah, just remove the role, or like,
Yeah, just
no, just
remove the
change how the
bullshit from it, and it's
like no,
great.
like just change
Wow,
how
if
the
you
role
take the
functions.
bullshit out of
Great.
something, it's great.
The
That's crazy.
Godskin Bishop. I could see us getting the
Oh, I could see
Godskin
that, yeah.
Regent or something.
Nah, we're gonna get Godskin Duo into Glowmide Queen.
The Godskin Strength build. I'm sure we'll get one
Oh
at some
yeah.
point, depending
It'll be
on if
like
it's here or not.
Godskin Godmusher.
Ah, yes, Canadian, the Godskin Trio, as we've all talked about. We introduce a new Godskin type so we can get the Godskin Trio.
You will
Or
kill
a
him
giant wolf
later.
wearing human skin.
Yeah, imagine like any new Godskins would be like very like the most elite of them, or just Gloomies Empyrean.
Yeah.
So like, fucking I don't know what weapon they would be using.
Oh yeah,
Probably a strength weapon.
Chilled brought up
This
how
last
a
thing.
lot of Mikola's stuff involves, like, Godwyn Awakening and stuff, and Godwyn's Soul. I would not be shocked if part of the plot is essentially, hey, we have to go find Godwyn's soul so we can reattach it to his real body, and then they can both die. Because the issue is, as like the Finger Maiden says in the Deep Root Depths, is you should have died a true death. As the first death of the demigods, you should have died a true death. Not whatever this is. So it may actually be we need to go find Godwyn so we can fight and kill him for real.
Yeah. Also, on this one, let me pull up the item descriptions.
The Godskin
Also-
Like,
Circumciser.
Also, look at the
They'll use
maybe.
the what was it? Godslayer Greatsword.
Oh, yeah, if we fight the Glowmide Queen, she would probably be using that or something similar to it.
Because Vargram has that.
Well, they could
Like,
always have a copy of it, or a knockoff of it, because they lost the original one.
Like, an item that I think could have some relation to DLC
Mm-hmm.
is the Sun Realm. I posted this a while ago because it's like very rare drop, out of place. Like, Shield of Fawn depicting a city crowned by the sun. It has seen better days. Much like we're upon the shield, the seat of the sun is long faded away. Like, it could be Lindell.
Yeah, that
It's
seems
definitely
like
referred to as City of the Sun.
It
It's always
seems-
City of Gold.
I suppose, yeah. It's kind of a I don't know. I don't know. Like sometimes FromSoft just puts shit like that in there.
Yeah, I wouldn't put too much stock on that, but that's a thing to keep in mind.
Yeah. The thing is with like DLC stuff, it's usually not just one item description. Unless you want to
Yeah.
argue that the Old Hunter's Bone is the only thing that alludes to the Old Hunter's DLC. And when I think on it, not really, because the Old Hunter's DLC just kind of provides explanation for a lot of different things. Like, it explains Lawrence, what happened with Lawrence, it explains what the other hunters were doing during Gurman's time, it explains what the Healing Church was actually doing, and then it explains why the DLC exists.
Yeah. Like, I think we'll also get stuff on the Great Tree, I think.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if this has something to do with it. If we want to go based off the big mural on the side of the Erdtree, the one that's right behind the Elden Throne, it looks like the roots of the Erdtree kind of have the appearance of just an upside-down tree.
Yeah. I think we'll probably see that full mural in the DLC, or the part that was broken off
I would not
separately,
be shocked.
perhaps.
You know what's something neat, Neve, is that in one of the areas in the main game of Dark Souls 2, there is a mural that you don't really have much in the way of context for. You're just like, oh, it's this thing that's here in this area. And then in one of the DLCs, there's a version of it that's like 20 times bigger. And then you're like, oh, that's interesting. Because then you have new context for it. And then you wonder why the fuck it was in that other place.
Character relation, who knows?
Well, they are both dragon-themed areas, so...
Probably why.
Yeah. But, like, I mean... If this is supposed to be, like, another alternative here, if this is the Shadows of the Erdtree, is that the Helfen realm is probably similar to the
Within
Hunter's
the shadow.
Nightmare, and that it's kind of just like a shadow reflection of the Lands Between. Which means it kind of
like,
sucks even more, I guess.
we've all discussed like the possibility of like the bottom of that mural being Helfen,
Yeah,
which would also be in the shadow of the Erdtree.
right.
Because like these things sometimes have like double meanings. Like if you look at Ash of Ariandel,
Right.
Ariandel sort of corroded place, but also Sister Freed, Ashes.
Right, yeah.
When the Ashes flames later,
What
blah
was
blah
I
blah.
just thinking of? All right, I brought this up in the video, but Helfen should be barren because of how the Erdtree works. There should not really be anyone going to Helfen, with maybe the exception of people they perform death rituals on, I guess. But that's not even people going to the afterlife. That's just,
Maybe
you're
people
not
killed
returning
by
to the
death
Erdtree,
birds.
you're just staying here.
Because like death birds are out there killing people, probably because wild animals.
Yeah, but they don't have the power of destined death anymore. That's why the rune of death being confined within Malekith and separate from the Elden Ring is a big deal. It's kind of why everyone is insane, is because they keep dying and just coming back to life. Souls don't pass on, they just get recycled through the Erdtree. So Helfen, which is supposed to be where souls go when they die, would be empty. Maybe there's a bunch of omen there, I don't know.
Actually, destined death, Helfen. Yeah, death birds and Glow My Queen. Why are you separate?
We're probably gonna get a lot of
It's
Death
era
sorceries.
things. The Deathbirds are from the primeval times. They were around during the times of Farum Azula. They were the ones bringing about death during that time. The
I can't
Glow-Eyed
remember.
Queen was presumably the person chosen to compete with Marika to decide whether or not there would be an age in which everything lasts forever, or
that
if
was why the God Hunt was there.
yeah,
Because she was competing with Marika.
right.
Yeah, like, I can't remember which item specifically,
Mm-hmm.
but one of the items in relation to Godskin Nobles do mention them being around at the time of the Crucible.
Right, yeah. So that would have been the
And, like-
early time of Marika.
Also, like, with the Crucible,
Mhm.
you have, Mikola, Rune of Abundance, Crucible, Abundant in Life.
Was
There's
Mikola supposed to have a rune of abundance?
I believe we've known this for a while.
I'm gonna assume this is cut content stuff.
Ah, yeah. Because I'm pretty sure also, like, that one cut, Twin Blade, raw, decaying things, and then Abundance, full of life.
Cut content. Do we have cut content for Mikola Great Rune? I
Yeah, if you've
cannot
got Rune of Abundance.
find it.
Like, I believe that should be in relation to Mikola. I might
Rune of
misremembering.
Abundance.
Yeah, Mikola's Rune of
Okay,
Abundance
yeah,
seems to be
yeah,
actually
yeah.
one
The
Mikola.
the Twin Blade, the cut Twin Blade contains the
Chilled.
Rune of Abundance.
Aye.
Hey, chilled.
So, like, I am
Give me a second.
very expect that,
I'm
like,
just adjusting shit.
right.
Sure.
Also, like, creating the Halg tree could have some relation to Crucible too, because, making life, just like Crucible did.
Right. It is fascinating to think about. It'll be interesting when we get, like, a trailer for this in who knows how many months.
As we might get a teaser in like, well, it's now March here, so 3 months.
Well, I think why because of
Yeah.
like
I-
E3 or whatever
'cause-
or Gamescom.
Ooh.
Yeah, because there's like a lot of game showcase stuff that goes on round about summer.
I would not be shocked if we got something around then. The way that
Yeah, and
they
like that's enough time for them to like properly get out a good teaser.
Yeah, the way they're advertising it right now, like usually when they do a DLC announcement, they release a trailer. The fact that they haven't done that suggests probably that they're still working on it quite a bit right now.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking we get it this summer at the earliest. And I don't mean early
Maybe we
summer, I
get-
mean like later in the summer.
Yeah, and maybe we get like some teaser stuff earlier on.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if in like May or June we start to get that. Like if we get our actual trailer then, and then that's gonna make it way easier to figure out what's gonna be going on in it, because they're probably gonna kind of tell us. And then
Yeah, we
it'll be
do this
even easier to
discussion
predict
again,
what we're gonna
But
get. Yeah.
with that,
How many big bosses do we think will be in it? I'm thinking, like Great Enemy or Legend.
I'm
If
gonna
this
say
is
3 or 4.
yeah, if this is an expansion, if this is the only expansion we're getting, I think
Which
we
it
would
probably
get
will.
5 remembrance bosses so we can fill out the next row.
Oh yeah, we'll also be getting like. There's also something odd with like Great Runes, because like that's 2 whole rows. And like, if we look at hold on, let me open up an image of like Great Rune menu Elden Ring. Because like if you look at this, there should be like 2 whole rows. And like
Yeah, there
when you
should.
evolve them, like if we get Miquella's, that's just 1 on the next row. And then there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5
Hello,
other slots to
Pigma.
fill.
I feel like they'll at least put in 2 more Great Runes for the DLC at least.
Yeah, it's just an issue of who has them.
I
And
imagine it
how.
would be Miquella's, and then Godwin wouldn't have one.
He would not, but maybe he'll get one during it. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe he reclaims Great Rune or something.
What if?
And we also
his
don't know
pillar
where
is
Ronnie's
actually in
is.
Helton.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, true. Maybe we'll be able to find Ronnie's Great
Yeah,
Rune.
like, maybe because, like, Godwin was meant to be bestowed a Great Rune, and we'll get that rune.
Maybe.
That would be a good
Maybe,
idea.
like, Glomi has her own rune that she had in her, like, back pocket or something.
Well, back
I would
then,
say
the
in
rune
this
she would have
rainy
had would
day-
be the Rune of Death.
Yes.
As some people have brought up, the
Oh, yeah, true.
the symbol of the Rune of Death is the opposite symbol of Marika.
Malekith was just that goated that he was able to take them all down.
Right.
I think maybe stuff in relation to Mark the Centipede. And then also, like, whatever rune Godwin was meant to get, if it's not that.
Yeah, right now, I'm just thinking any of the death-related stuff will probably be in
Yes,
this.
so that and
I
Miquella's
feel like
rune.
lore-wise,
uh,
Godwin would have got something similar to Morgoth's, being very much the center of the Elden Ring.
Probably. Oh yes, do we have any
Hmm.
more predictions on what Godwin's weapon would be? The safe assumption is it's some sort of axe, but...
Yeah.
Or he's like Sword Saint, where he uses a spear and sword, but instead of a sword, it's an axe.
Like,
what
I
if...
was-
Oh my
Hmm.
god, what if
Yeah.
he uses a halberd? Insane.
Oh, maybe
Nah.
that could be cool. Like,
I
was
feel
thinking
like
either... Oh yeah,
a
halberd
halberd
could
or a
maybe work with
spear
this spear
very
stuff.
fits the dragon theme that he's
Yeah,
got.
or maybe it's like maybe twin blade that's both like axe and halberd. Yeah.
That's...
It's not like-
that kind of is what a
Mhm.
halberd is.
Yeah, but you know, at both ends.
Yeah, I guess. I would be so... I've been thinking about it. It would be so sick if we got a boss that uses a pole arm and they actually fucking spin it around like a pole arm. Like,
Yeah. Cool.
fucking spinning it around their head and stuff, turning around to use it and shit. That would be so
Or
cool.
like the monk stuff.
That-
Instead,
that's
we
like
got
Yeah,
Humble
doing
Boy.
monk stuff with it. That would be sick.
That's why Corrupted Monk is peak.
It's true. Corrupted
Yeah, like,
Monk does pretty much do that. Yeah.
Instead, we got a funny noodle who does spinning things.
like maybe in relation to like that centipede mark, maybe we'll get centipede whip.
Maybe. Maybe.
Please.
So yeah, I'm
kinda
thinking
hope we
if it's
see a
a
boss
big
that
ass
is not good.
expansion, like if it's the only expansion, we'll get 5 remembrance bosses, and then we'll probably get like, I don't know, 10 great enemies or something along those lines. Yeah, it really
Yeah.
entirely depends on how fucking big this thing is.
Like,
Because
what's on
Considering
that?
how long it's taking, I'm pretty
I mean, it's
sure
just
it will
because
be
like
big.
this is not going to be a Dark Souls DLC for Elden Ring.
Yeah, and Elden Ring DLC because Elden Ring is succinct enough.
I mean,
Oh,
shit.
Elden Ring.
I would not be
Like-
surprised if the amount of content in this DLC is equivalent to all of the Dark Souls DLCs. Because it's the game is
Yeah.
the size of every Dark
Mhm.
Souls game put together.
True.
I think maybe there's a chance. Like, wait, no, what was I saying? That is not the thing I was wanting to say. Like, I was about to ask, like, hey, who do we think will be the remembrance bosses? Then I remembered, oh yeah, there's definitely a lot of new actors who'll be on the scene, who we don't know about currently,
hello, Heavenly.
or would even be able to expect for remembrance bosses.
Right. Yeah, like the only one we can really think of right now would be Godwin. How are
Yeah.
you doing, Heavenly?
A fully grown
Good
Nicholas sounds like it's gonna be peak.
Mike.
Well, maybe Mikola's like, hey, kill my real body, please.
I would not be
Yeah,
surprised.
I'll
Oh
be
shit,
fine.
he's gonna be
I
up
live
to
in
the
dreams.
Ronnie
I'll be
shenanigans.
fine.
This shit sucks. Please kill me.
Yeah.
Some dude with horns took me in and was like, "Be my consort," and I'm like, "Dog, I can't do anything."
Heavenly,
Just
are you
kill me.
talking right now?
He is.
He is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Right.
He was
Like-
just memeing on
I just
Moke the
realized-
Molester.
I realized when you were talking about like Godwin spinning a halberd around,
Uh-huh.
that sounds a whole lot like what Commander Nile does.
Oh,
Fuck!
Oh, and commanders do have that relation to Goblin, yeah.
They
Oh.
do.
He even has, like,
Nile
lightning
is
shit.
indeed loyal to
No,
you-
they
you got
do,
nothing
but
thinking
then I
here.
was just thinking about fighting Commander Nile, and I was like,
I mean, Commander Nile's a pretty fun fight besides the
I know.
minions.
He-
Instead
okay,
of doing
fine.
he's a
peg
fun
leg kick,
fight
It's
if
gonna
you
be like-
bring a really cracked summon.
It's
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
be like
Yeah.
Commander Nile, but instead of Scarlet Rot, it's Deathblight.
Yeah.
No, his summon will be Fortisax.
I was thinking,
Oh, shit.
imagine if we fight Godwin, but he's pulling a Nameless King and he rides Fortisax.
That'd be cool.
That's what I'm saying.
And also we run into that fight with our own summon being
I'm
like,
really
okay.
uh,
A lot of
Nicola's
people here,
shadow.
a lot of people I've seen, because we have to think about this now. The DLCs are always the best parts of the game. They always
Yeah, that's
have
true.
the best boss. And, you know, fuck me, the base game bosses in Elden Ring, the best ones get pretty close to the best bosses from the Dark Souls DLCs. So, depending on what they do in the DLC, I have to consider for a moment that it's possible a boss could be better than Slave Knight Gale. Right now, because they're the only one we really...
It's a scary thought, I know.
Yeah, the only one we can really think of as a boss right now, because we don't really know enough. I imagine the DLC is going to introduce a lot of new characters and new bosses to fight.
Oh,
Godwin. How does Godwin manage to surpass Slave Knight Gale? Well, first, you fight Fish Godwin, and he doesn't have a bunch of annoying bullshit, and you could fight him on Torrent, because he's a giant boss. Then, you fight Human Godwin. And I question if they're going to do 2 phases or 3 phases, if, for some reason, they want to pull a Nameless King, and you have, like, Spirit Fortisax come in to be a mount for him.
Oh yeah. What if you get the Sister Fididi thing, where like whoever's helping you through a DLC, so like probably Mikola's Shadow.
Yeah, I could
Oh.
see that happening.
Yeah, like if they help you out, like Gale.
We fight
So
Godwin, and then as his third phase, he spirit summons Fortisax, and then we both have a mounted battle while he's riding a dragon.
I kind of want to just put this idea out here.
Mm.
While you're fighting Fish Godwin and you like beat that phase, and phase 2 begins, and he gets like a goddamn Ludwig moment, and he gets his soul back, and he breaks out the fish body.
I mean, my assumption has been that the giant clam mouth opens and the pearl inside is real Godwin.
Oh, that would be perfect.
Now
Like,
that we're pretty sure that we're
I
now that
think,
we're
like,
pretty sure
here you go.
Yeah, you
Oh,
can go, you
sorry.
can go.
now that we're pretty sure that we're fighting him in like the spirit / like dead world, I'm pretty sure we're not gonna fight Fish Godwin.
The
Oh,
way I
yeah.
could see it being is because they want him to die a real death. Is we take Spirit Godwin and we put him back into Fish Godwin. So Fish Godwin wakes up. You fight Fish Godwin, and then you fight real Godwin. So they both die.
Or
Not
maybe,
to
like,
mention, Fish
because-
Godwin's existence is kind of like a half and half. He could just be in both places at
Yeah.
once.
Because
Yeah.
like it's a corruption that comes from not dying properly, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
maybe with that same corruption has happened to him in death.
Maybe. It's, it's always a possibility. It's standard procedure for FromSoft bosses to be corrupted.
Yeah. Like something like the only like throughout the 5 of us would get. What if he's calling around health and like fucking Davidus?
Just like the
Wait,
big,
just
the
the-
big it's just a big fucking thing. Just crawl. The giant fish man is just crawling around face down in the dirt through the fucking Helfin. That would be neat.
I mean, look at that giant field.
A
is a
little
big field.
consideration to have is that if we do fight Mikola, he's probably going to use the sleep stats effect as well.
That would
Oh,
be
no.
funny. I don't know how the fuck that would work, but it's funny
Well,
to think about.
considering that he is likely
wouldn't-
Centrina, it's got to be in there.
No, but
He
I'm
is ancient.
thinking it's like, how do you fight a boss that does the sleep buildup? Because we almost never fight anything that does the sleep status.
Outside like 2 crabs.
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe
am
he'll have
almost-
like a sleep grab or something.
The
Mm.
grab that makes you fall asleep.
Yeah.
Oh,
I am
Kinda nice.
almost certain at this point that we aren't going to fight Mikola. I feel like he's going
I
to be
don't
more of
think
like
we're
a
gonna fight Mikola. The only thing I could see is us fighting real world Mikola.
Yeah.
Because
We
the
might
implication
fight-
from Gideon is that if he wakes up, he's gonna be some kind of terrible blood god thing that we're gonna have to kill.
That's the new Moog boss fight.
Yeah,
I'm
like,
fucking Mogi.
oh, that's how we get in.
He's got a combination of
pretty cool.
Moog and Melania's movesets.
I would
gonna
kill
be
myself.
Waterfowl.
I mean-
Can we please not get the
Bloodlock.
bleed waterfowl? Please no.
No, we'll just
Bleed
get Death
waterfowl.
Waterfall with.
Waterfowl with Death Blight.
It's
It's
great.
me.
One minute we're talking about how this could be the best FromSoft boss ever, and then the next we're like, how could this be absolutely dog shit?
Like imagine like
Nihil into Waterfall.
Fuck off.
like
So you're just
fucking,
healing, you
like-
just see it fly.
blood.
But I do
Mikola would
hope
be,
we
like,
get another
horrible
fire
boss.
giant like fight.
Stop.
But
Yeah, I
actually
think,
good.
like,
Yeah, me too.
Another
Blood
thing that
Mikola
is
would be
becoming
worth it.
like less and less likely, especially now that we see Mikola like riding Torrent in the promo thing, is the agenda of villain Mikola.
Yeah,
have
I
been a very
don't.
big fan
I
of.
mean, something about Mikola is a little sussy. The way they seem to be really good at charming people, but
No,
The
that's
thing that I think would be cool is if Mikola was like Nishandra from DS2,
hmm.
and you're
Mm,
helping
yeah.
him, he tricks you at the end.
And then he
Yeah,
turns
I
into a
wouldn't
horrible
mind
blood
that.
monster.
I was gonna say, I think
What
it
would
would be
take time?
cool if Mikola put his like mind in Godwin's body because it's empty.
Hmm.
Eh.
I
And
could
his
like-
body's already okay.
And his body, if it had a soul in it, might turn back to a
Oh.
regular man. And not a
That's
big fish
kind of a
thing.
good idea, considering
see us
that
fighting.
Mikola's body is kind of fucked up and he...
And
Yeah.
Nicola also wanted to grow into like an adult.
Tenrilitus says the
Yeah.
concept of interaction with an outer god is very interesting. It would be interesting to see if we
Maybe.
could, because it seems like some people have directly interacted with them. The closest thing we have to that is interacting with the Three Fingers.
I mean, what
Yeah.
if
And also the two
Since-
fingers via
yeah, what if,
Enya.
like
Well,
Since,
Moog like
uh,
sticks
Mikkel-
his hand into the Mother of Blood.
I'm gonna say
Mhm.
that. Because Mikola has been corrupted by blood, maybe Mikola can grant us commune with the Formless Mother.
Maybe.
I wonder
would
if
be
there's like a
interesting.
sleep
But
outer
at the
god,
same time...
like an outer god of dreams.
Maybe.
Actually, you know what the hell Mikola fight is going to be? It's just going to be him in the cocoon with the one arm, and he's just going to be like a one-armed swinging pot.
Oh my god, it's like it's like the curse-rotted Greatwood, but instead of moving
But
around,
good.
it just stands in one spot, and it's just the middle arm trying to smack you.
Exactly.
Nah, he keeps
Then when
rolling
you kill
around,
him,
he
blood
pushes
explodes everywhere, just like the pots do.
No, like
Oh,
what you're saying,
no.
right? There's no pustules. He's in the cocoon, he's rolling around, he's fucking dragging himself along, pushing himself along the arm.
What if we fought a barrel with an arm?
Yeah, exactly.
A
I
barrel
feel like
breasted Mikola
FromSoft would
with
still
an
make
arm.
it peak.
Fascinating.
If you just fight regular, like, 5-year-old Nicola and you just kill him in one hit.
That would be
yeah, it's the baby
so
hunter.
fucking funny. I mean, we could always get something similar to
Yeah.
Astraea from Demon Souls, where, oh, she's the boss, but you don't really fight her, you fight Garl Vinland. And then when you kill
yeah.
Garl Vinland, she's like,
He sounds
damn.
like a dream millennia.
Oh, what if like we fight Baby Mikola, and like there's a sign hinting to hey, use Ash of War kick. You walk in, Baby Mikola curls up to you. You use Ash of War kick.
You kick the baby through
Kick
a
the
window.
child.
Also, like I saw a message in chat from Medal.
Hmm.
Mikola was one of the twin prodigies, so I don't know what's going on there.
Well, it
Yeah,
would
I'll
seem
say that,
like
perhaps.
they're prodigies in different respects.
Yeah.
Malenia is a
Nicola could, like-
prodigy with a sword, whereas Mikola is a prodigy when it comes to magic.
Knowledge.
He
Yeah.
wrote his
Knowledge
own
bars.
incantation
Yeah, he
and
did.
made a holy sword. So he
Yeah.
was seemed more like a making type.
There's also like
Prodigy.
the Sword of Saint Trina.
Right.
Naturally, my little curious brain is wondering how the fuck stuff like madness and scarlet rot is gonna be affecting this Halfin area.
Hmm.
Well, we'll see.
I
Oh,
want
yeah.
more death sorceries.
True,
Oh,
they
hopefully.
do need more.
Like, yeah, Mikola's just gonna be an elk inspired.
That would be neat.
Alright.
Well,
Godwin's-
Oh, you wanted to say something? I
Maybe
was about
they'll
to
actually-
say, I
Yeah.
think we've gone over everything, haven't we?
Yeah. Well, here.
Yeah, we're
Godwin's
speaking
boss fight
hypotheticals now.
Uh-huh.
is actually in the giant field in the promo.
That
That's
would
how it's.
probably be pretty cool. If there
all
was
right.
anything Gale taught us, is that fighting bosses out in big open spaces is great.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, and then
Ishii
phase 2 is
Gale.
inside the mouth. It's like raging Brachydios from Monster Hunter,
Oh
where like
my
you get
god.
trapped there, and it's just two of you. In this
It's
closed
just fight to
room.
the death.
That'd be
We
No.
we fight Godwin inside of a police car.
You know, weirdly looking at the tree in this promo image, it looks like it's oozing gold.
I did
Yeah.
mention that. I am under the general impression that if this is Helphin, the Grace-esque light is supposed to be red. But there's not really any of that here, because Helphin should be depleted because of the Erdtree.
Oh, that
This
makes
tree
sense.
here almost looks like it looks like it's festering because of the Grace of Gold.
Oh yeah, it looks very malnourished in that.
My personal belief, it's Mikola's dream tree, and then it's the other tree wrapping around it is corruption from Moog.
Maybe. Possibly. We will have to wait and see, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because by now, I think we're almost an hour and a half in. I think we've covered pretty much everything we could possibly glean from this one singular promo image.
Yeah.
We
and
milk and
Now that we
content,
finished
baby.
talking about the unimportant things,
Are we-
I want to think about what kind of horrible reskins we're gonna have in the DLC.
We brought that up. I was wondering how many bosses
Fair.
are just going to be reskin bosses, or not even really reskin bosses from the base game. How many are going to be, oh, here's this neat new boss that's exclusive to the DLC. You're going to fight 7 of them.
I want a
So-
third Astel.
Instead
Oh,
of
yeah.
putrid Avatar, we get healthy
And
Avatar. and
Godric's
it pulls
dead.
That's what I
Great
was
great
saying.
granddad.
We're gonna get Helfin, ulcerated tree spirit.
Wouldn't that just
And
be
it's gonna cause-
Godwin, maybe? Would
I
not
mean,
Fish
No, Goblin
Godwin
would
be
be
the
Fish Goblin.
ulcerated tree spirit of Helfin?
Oh great!
He's-
Even 4 ulcerated tree spirits.
He
I
would
couldn't
be
believe
like,
when someone said, oh, the Elden Beast is just the ulcerated Erdtree spirit, and it shattered my world.
Wasn't that Wooly?
It was me.
I think it was Wooly that said, oh, it's the ulcerated Erdtree spirit. Or someone said it to them, and they were like, oh my god.
you're unbelievable.
Death.
God have mercy
God
upon whoever
hurt.
decided I really like the ulcerated tree spirit. But then also, blessings upon them for deciding it would be really, really funny if in Ashen Lanedale you walk into an area, the ground rumbles, and an
trees come.
ulcerated tree spirit comes up. You fight it, you kill it. You walk a little bit further, and then the same thing happens again. You fight it, you kill it, and then you're like, whew, there's no way they would do that a third time, and then they do.
Yeah, and then you
I
get
mean,
the Erdtree's Spirit
The
plus 2.
reward's pretty good.
Yeah.
And you don't even need a fight, you can just run past them. Be the little bitch that you are.
Is it really being a... Yeah, oops, all ulcerated tree spirits. So true, Kofa.
Got
Is
You
it
got
really
death
being
crabs.
a bitch if you're
Want
just
death
avoiding it because it's
lobsters.
annoying?
No, I guess.
mean, people would
You're
argue,
just doing a
probably.
JoJo move.
Oh,
being
reference!
sensible.
Yay! New version of Watchdog. A new Vort. Interesting.
I can't wait to fight the fucking twin bird.
New dance.
Oh yeah, that would probably also be a remembrance boss.
I think the only boss idea that would be cool is like, you know how like the death birds kind of look like baby birds?
Yes.
There's like an adult one that had like
it's a-
full
it's
plumage
a
and like
really
feathers and
big
shit on
crow
it.
monster.
Considering that the
Oh
death
my.
birds are literally just the children of the twin bird, they would indeed look like that.
That's true.
So it makes sense.
Oh my crow monster.
Well, anyway, I think that's pretty much all we could possibly discuss for this one picture we have. An hour and a half. And I didn't
All
plan on
good.
this being a super long stream anyway, so...
Yeah.
Thank you all for joining, you people here in VC.
You're welcome.
Thanks
Anytime.
to all the people that commented in the stream chat. I appreciate you being here. And look forward
Go
to
join the
more
Discord
Elden
server.
Ring content in the future, whenever From gives me more to work with. Until next time, I'll see you guys around. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Shot
Adios.
temple.
There you go.